This looks like Mars, the rusty badlands, the impossible silence, the feeling that you've left Earth entirely. But this isn't another planet. This is Wyoming, America's 44th state, smallest population, and home to secrets that will rewrite everything you thought you knew about the American West. How did America's most overlooked state become home to landscapes so alien NASA uses them for Mars training? To 700-year-old observatories more accurate than GPS? To pioneer graffiti from 1847 still perfectly preserved? Join me as we uncover 17 hidden wonders where ancient Earth meets sacred sky. Where the impossible becomes inevitable. Where every horizon conceals another miracle. Welcome to another Cultraverse exclusive, where hidden worlds await discovery. Our journey through Wyoming's hidden wonders begins with Earth's foundation itself. The Grand Tetons rise like prayers carved in granite, preserving stones older than complex life on our planet. These peaks hold Earth's autobiography in stone. 2.7 billion-year-old rocks that formed when our planet had no oxygen to breathe, no forests, no animals, just raw Earth, learning to become itself. The mountains rose in 3 separate episodes. 3 times, massive tectonic forces lifted this landscape toward heaven. 3 times, erosion tried to erase the evidence, but the Tetons refused to disappear. The Shoshone called these peaks Tiwinot, many pinnacles. Traditional knowledge included weather prediction using cloud formations around specific peaks that modern meteorology has verified as remarkably accurate. Traditional techniques read snow patterns on north faces to predict seasonal changes with precision that guided hunting and gathering schedules for thousands of years. But here's what stops geologists in their tracks. The Tetons are still growing. Right now, tectonic forces lift these peaks 6 inches every 1,000 years while dropping the valley floor. We're witnessing active mountain building in real time. 40 miles east of these rising peaks, Earth's memory preserves evidence of forces even more ancient. The Southern Wind River Range preserves some of North America's most ancient secrets. Here, among peaks that seem unremarkable compared to their northern neighbors, lies stone that witnessed Earth's infancy. 3.8 billion-year-old granite that formed when our planet was still learning to support life. These are among the oldest rocks exposed anywhere on Earth's surface. The granite crystallized from magma when Earth's atmosphere contained virtually no oxygen and the first simple cells were just beginning to photosynthesize. These rocks preserve evidence of Earth's earliest stable continental crust. The mineral compositions tell stories of crustal formation processes that built the foundation for all complex life that would follow billions of years later. Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho peoples have considered these mountains sacred homeland for generations. Archaeological evidence shows continuous use for over 8,000 years. Hunting camps, vision quest sites, and ceremonial locations distributed throughout the range. Traditional knowledge recognized these peaks as places where Earth's deepest powers concentrated. Specific formations were understood as markers of spiritual energy, with ceremonial protocols governing access to ensure balance. Recent geological research confirms these rocks as remnants of Earth's earliest stable continental crust. The Southern Wind River Range preserves the moment when our planet first grew solid land masses capable of supporting the evolution of complex ecosystems. 100 miles northeast of these ancient foundations, human consciousness first mapped the cosmos in stone. At 9,642 feet above sea level, the medicine wheel waits in alpine silence. This 700-year-old stone circle tracks celestial events with precision that rivals modern observatories. And we still don't understand how it was built. 28 limestone spokes radiate from a central cairn, creating a wheel 80 feet in diameter. Each spoke aligns with specific star risings, seasonal markers, and astronomical events calculated with mathematical precision that European astronomy wouldn't achieve for centuries. Summer solstice sunrise aligns perfectly with one spoke. Winter solstice sunset with another. Brightest stars like Aldebaran, Rigel, and Sirius each have dedicated alignment spokes. Ancient astronomers understood celestial mechanics without telescopes or written mathematics. For over 20 Native American tribes, this wheel remains an active sacred site. Crow, Lakota, Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Shoshone peoples continue ceremonial use, with some families maintaining unbroken traditions spanning 700 years. Traditional knowledge describes the wheel as calendar, star map, and ceremonial center combined. Astronomical observations guided hunting seasons, ceremonial timing, and agricultural planning with remarkable accuracy. Modern archaeoastronomy has confirmed something extraordinary. The wheel's creators calculated celestial mechanics, precession, stellar motion, orbital patterns that Western science wouldn't discover for another 400 years. They mapped the cosmos using only stones and centuries of patient observation. 80 miles south of this celestial calculator, pioneers left their own messages for future generations. Independence Rock rises 193 feet from the Wyoming prairie like a granite whale breaching an ocean of grass. But its true wonder isn't geological, it's historical. This is America's original social media platform. Over 50,000 pioneer signatures cover this rock, carved between 1840 and 1869. Names, dates, hometowns, and messages preserved in granite. This was the Facebook wall of the Oregon Trail. The carvings tell extraordinary stories. J. Stewart, 1847, Tennessee to Oregon with 4 oxen. Mary Johnson died here July 4, 1849, age 23. California or bust, Tom Wilson, Missouri. Each signature represents a family's leap into the unknown. This journey through Wyoming's hidden chronicles has just begun. If you're drawn to places where human courage intersects with timeless landscapes, consider subscribing. Each video opens doorways to worlds where ancient stories meet modern discovery. It's completely free, and it helps us continue sharing these remarkable connections. The tradition began with French fur trappers who called it La Roche de l'Indépendance because so many reached it around July 4th. But the date had life or death significance for Oregon Trail families. Pioneers carved their names as proof they'd survived the first third of the 2,000-mile journey. Reaching Independence Rock by July 4th meant you'd likely reach Oregon before winter snows trapped you in the mountains. Miss that deadline, and your family would likely perish. Recent archaeological surveys using ground-penetrating radar have discovered that this rock served as a messaging system for thousands of years. Native American petroglyphs beneath the pioneer signatures suggest this was always a place where travelers left messages for those who would follow. 60 miles northwest of this granite guestbook, Earth's most famous geological artist creates masterpieces that change by the hour. Grand Prismatic Spring appears on the landscape like Earth's eye, watching the sky. From above, it reveals something more impossible. Water so rich with life, it paints itself in colors that shouldn't exist. This spring discharges 560 gallons of water every minute at 189 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to brew tea instantly. Too hot for most life on Earth. Yet around its edges, thermophile bacteria create living rainbows. Organisms that don't just survive in these conditions, they require them. The colors tell a temperature story written in bacterial communities. Deep blue center water reaches 189 degrees, sterile, lifeless. Moving outward, yellow bacteria colonize 165-degree zones. Orange communities flourish at 145 degrees. Green mats dominate 131-degree margins. Red bacterial borders mark the 120-degree edges. Crow and Shoshone peoples knew these thermal features as sacred healing waters. They understood something Western science is only beginning to appreciate, that extreme environments often harbor life's most innovative solutions. Traditional knowledge recognized different springs for different healing properties based on mineral concentrations and water temperatures that modern geochemistry has verified as medically significant. These thermophile bacteria represent some of Earth's most ancient life forms, genetic time machines that evolved in conditions similar to early Earth's volcanic environment. NASA studies them as potential models for life on other planets. 20 miles east of these living rainbows, the Earth's foundation reveals its most perfect geometric secret. Devil's Tower rises from Wyoming prairie like a monument to forces beyond human comprehension. 867 feet of volcanic rock that began forming 50 million years ago, when this landscape lay beneath a shallow sea. The tower's surface reveals one of geology's most perfect examples of columnar jointing. As molten rock cooled underground, it cracked into hexagonal columns with mathematical precision, so perfect it seems designed by cosmic intelligence. Each column measures 3 to 8 feet in diameter. The cracks that separate them formed as cooling magma contracted, following the most efficient stress relief patterns possible. Mathematics and geology collaborated to create Earth's largest natural cathedral. For more than 20 Native American tribes, this formation holds sacred significance. The Lakota tell of Matotipila, Bear's Lodge, where 7 sisters fled to escape a giant bear whose claws carved the vertical grooves we see today. The Kiowa described So-Ah, the rock tree, where transformed sisters became the Pleiades constellation. These stories connect geological observation, celestial navigation, and seasonal timing into unified worldviews that guided survival for millennia. The tower we see isn't the original volcanic formation. 50 million years of erosion stripped away softer surrounding rock, revealing this harder phonolite core. Devil's Tower is geology's equivalent of a fossil, the exposed heart of an ancient volcanic system. "100 miles south of this sacred pillar, Earth becomes an artist working in limestone. At Mammoth Hot Springs, Earth becomes an artist working in stone and water. Limestone terraces cascade down the hillside like frozen waterfalls, painted in colors that shift with each season, each day, each passing hour. 2 tons of limestone dissolve into these springs every day. As mineral-rich water cools and flows across the terraces, it deposits calcium carbonate at a rate of 1 inch per year. The formations we see are living sculptures, growing and changing constantly. Water emerges from underground at 170 degrees Fahrenheit, having circulated through limestone bedrock for thousands of years. As it rises, it dissolves massive amounts of calcium carbonate, which precipitates out when the water cools and contacts atmospheric carbon dioxide. Indigenous peoples recognize different terraces for specific healing properties based on mineral concentrations and water temperatures that modern geochemistry has verified as medically significant. Traditional knowledge describes seasonal variations in mineral content that correlate with optimal healing applications. Spring snowmelt dilutes certain concentrations while concentrating others. This was applied hydrogeochemistry, not folklore. Isotope analysis reveals that water emerging at Mammoth fell as snow decades ago. The springs connect to vast underground hydrological networks extending throughout the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. water from the Continental Divide might surface here 20 years later. 50 miles southeast of these mineral masterpieces, stone becomes sculpture in ways that challenge physics. Vedauwoo appears like a sculpture garden designed by geological giants. Massive granite formations, balanced in impossible configurations, carved by forces that understood both physics and poetry. These formations began as Sherman granite, intruded 1.4 billion years ago. As the granite cooled, it developed systematic cracks that would later guide erosion into these extraordinary shapes that seem to defy gravity. The name comes from the Arapaho Vedauwoo, meaning earthborn. Walking among these formations, the origin becomes obvious. These rocks seem to have grown from earth rather than been placed upon it. For Arapaho and Cheyenne peoples, Vedauwoo was a place where Earth's spiritual energy concentrated. The unusual formations were understood as markers of sacred power, with specific rocks associated with vision quests and ceremonies. Archaeological evidence confirms 8,000 years of human presence, with artifact patterns suggesting seasonal ceremonial use rather than permanent habitation. This was a spiritual destination, not a living space. The formations preserve evidence of ancient climate changes. Some weathering patterns could only have formed under tropical conditions when Wyoming experienced subtropical climates millions of years ago. The rocks are libraries preserving evidence of Earth's dramatic environmental transformations. "40 miles northeast of this stone gallery, water performs magic that defies explanation." In Sinks Canyon, the Popoaji River performs daily magic. For millions of years, it has flowed into solid limestone and vanished completely, only to emerge from a crystal-clear pool a quarter-mile downstream 2 hours later. The Sinks accepts 40 cubic feet of water per second during normal flow. The rise produces the same volume, but with crucial differences. Water takes 2 hours to make the quarter-mile underground journey and emerges 4 to 6 degrees warmer. The limestone bedrock contains extensive cave systems, too narrow for human exploration, too complex for simple mapping. Recent dye tests reveal the underground network extends for miles in directions scientists are still discovering. Eastern Shoshone traditional knowledge describes the underground journey as spiritual transformation. The river's disappearance and warmer emergence represented death and rebirth cycles that informed ceremonial timing and spiritual teachings. Traditional stories describe underground spirits that purify and warm the water during its hidden journey. The emergence of clearer, warmer water was understood as evidence of spiritual cleansing in Earth's hidden chambers. Isotope analysis suggests that some water emerging at the rise originated from precipitation that fell years earlier in different watersheds entirely. The underground system connects distant mountain ranges through subterranean rivers that remain largely unmapped. 40 miles south of this aquatic mystery, healing waters emerge carrying stories of therapeutic miracles spanning thousands of years. At Thermopolis, the world's largest mineral hot spring, creates landscapes that seem transported from another planet. Rainbow terraces cascade down limestone cliffs, painted by minerals and microorganisms in colors that shift with light and season. Big Spring discharges 3.6 million gallons daily at a constant 135 degrees Fahrenheit. The water emerges from limestone aquifers 8,000 feet underground, carrying dissolved minerals from rock formations that formed when Wyoming lay beneath ancient seas. The mineral content rivals famous European spa waters. Calcium, magnesium, sulfur, lithium, and trace radium create therapeutic properties that modern analysis confirms as beneficial for arthritis, skin conditions, and circulatory problems. The 1896 treaty with Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho guaranteed free public access to these healing waters in perpetuity, one of America's first environmental protection agreements. Chief Washakie insisted the waters remain available to all people, regardless of background. Traditional healing practices utilize different spring temperatures for specific therapeutic applications, with ceremonial protocols governing access to ensure the springs remained effective for future generations. The water began its journey as precipitation in the Owl Creek Mountains 40 miles away. Isotope analysis reveals circulation times of thousands of years through deep limestone aquifers. Some water emerging today fell as snow during the Little Ice Age. "60 miles west of these healing waters, an impossible valley reveals the other half of Wyoming's greatest geological story." Jackson Hole Valley presents one of geology's most impossible contradictions. According to every rule of mountain formation, this landscape shouldn't exist. Yet here it lies, a perfectly flat valley floor with mountains that explode 7,000 feet straight up without warning. Most mountain ranges slope gradually from peaks to valleys through foothills and piedmonts. Not here. The Teton Range rises like a geological wall from a valley floor so flat you could use it as a runway. This isn't how Earth typically builds landscapes. The valley floor sits at 6,000 feet elevation, while Grand Teton Peak towers at 13,775 feet. That's more vertical relief and shorter horizontal distance than almost anywhere else in North America. Standing on the valley floor feels like standing at the base of a natural skyscraper. Early fur trappers called high mountain valleys holes because you had to climb out in every direction. David Jackson, the mountain man who gave this place its name, understood something profound about this landscape's character. It's a place apart from the normal world. The Shoshone peoples knew this valley as a seasonal meeting ground where multiple bands gathered during summer months. The unusual geography created natural shelter while providing access to mountain resources and valley hunting grounds. The geological truth behind Jackson Hole's impossible profile. This isn't just a valley. It's an active graben, a down-drop block of Earth's crust. While the Teton Range rises along the Teton Fault, the valley floor simultaneously sinks. Over the past 13 million years, the valley floor has dropped 24,000 feet, while the mountains have risen 7,000 feet. Total displacement, over 30,000 feet of vertical movement. Jackson Hole and the Tetons aren't separate features. They're opposite sides of the same ongoing geological process. "60 miles southeast of this impossible valley, another geological marvel creates one of America's most photogenic secrets. Flaming Gorge appears like a Norwegian fjord, transported to the American desert. Red canyon walls plunge into emerald waters that seem impossibly deep and impossibly blue for this high desert landscape. The canyon walls reveal 500 million years of Earth's history in perfect stratigraphic order. Red Triassic sandstones, capped gray Pennsylvanian limestones, above white Mississippian formations. Each layer tells stories of ancient seas, desert dunes, and tropical swamps that once covered Wyoming. The Green River carved this canyon over the past 5 million years, cutting through rock layers at an average rate of 1 foot every 1,000 years. As the river followed structural weaknesses, it revealed Earth's autobiography written in stone, tropical seas from 300 million years ago, Sahara-like deserts from 200 million years ago, river deltas from 100 million years ago. Flaming Gorge Dam, completed in 1964, created a 91-mile-long reservoir that flooded the most spectacular portion of the original canyon. The reservoir holds 3.7 million acre-feet of water, enough to cover the entire state of Delaware 3 feet deep. The dam transformed a desert river ecosystem in ways that defied nature. Water released from 400 feet deep emerges at 38 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, creating trout habitat in what was once a warm-water smallmouth bass river. Cold-water lake trout now thrive where desert fish once ruled. Before the reservoir filled, archaeological teams raced to document 8,000 years of human history. They recorded 1,063 individual petroglyphs and pictographs along the river corridor, ancient artworks now preserved beneath 400 feet of water in North America's largest underwater archaeological site. Fish now swim past hunting scenes that guided Fremont and Ute peoples for millennia. Astronomical markers and ceremonial imagery lie submerged, creating a cathedral of cultural memory accessible only to technical divers trained in underwater archaeology. "80 miles north of this drowned canyon, an invisible line determines the destiny of every raindrop that falls. At South Pass, Wyoming performs one of the continent's most invisible miracles. This unremarkable-looking stretch of prairie determines whether water flows toward the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. A raindrop's continental destiny pivots on elevation differences of mere inches. Unlike the Continental Divide's dramatic mountain crossings elsewhere, South Pass achieves continental water separation across rolling grassland at 7,550 feet elevation. The grade is so gentle that a marble placed at the divide might roll either direction, depending on a breath of wind. Water falling just 20 feet apart begins journeys to oceans 2,000 miles distant. Eastern drops reach New Orleans via the Missouri and Mississippi rivers after a 3,000-mile, 6-month journey. Western drops flow to San Francisco Bay via the Colorado River system, traveling 1,400 miles in 4 months. This gentle profile made South Pass the preferred route for Oregon Trail emigrants. More than 400,000 people crossed the Continental Divide here between 1840 and 1869, many without realizing they had just traversed the continent's great watershed boundary. Wagon ruts worn into solid rock remain visible today, carved by 50,000 wagons, each carrying 2,000 pounds of family possessions. Traditional Shoshone knowledge recognized this natural corridor for thousands of years, following the same route used by migrating pronghorn, elk, and bison. Recent isotope analysis reveals that water crossing the divide today might have fallen as snow decades earlier in distant mountain ranges. Some precipitation reaching South Pass originated 200 miles away and percolated through underground aquifers for 30 years before emerging at springs that feed either Atlantic or Pacific watersheds. The divide functions as North America's hydrological heartbeat. Each storm pulse sends water toward opposite coasts in journeys that span years and thousands of miles. 40 miles southwest of this continental watershed, ancient lake beds preserve evidence of Wyoming's most dramatic climate transformation. Fossil Butte rises from southwestern Wyoming like a natural time machine, preserving snapshots of the Eocene epoch when this landscape supported subtropical lakes. 50 million years ago, crocodiles basked where pronghorn now roam, and palm trees swayed where sagebrush struggles to survive. The Green River Formation contains Earth's most perfectly preserved fossils from any time period. Over 300 fish species, 600 insect varieties, and 200 plant types lie embedded in limestone layers, so fine that cellular structures remain visible under magnification. Diplomistus fish display individual scales. Butterfly wings show color patterns. Flower petals preserve pollen grains. This precision of preservation approaches the miraculous. Organisms died and were buried so rapidly that decomposition never began. These fossils document the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, Earth's last major global warming event. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels reach 1,400 parts per million, creating a greenhouse world where palm trees grew at the North Pole and Wyoming averaged 77 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Lake Gosute covered 15,000 square miles of Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, larger than modern Lake Erie. The lake persisted for 15 million years, accumulating sediments that preserve the most complete record of Eocene life in North America. Isotope analysis of fossil fish bones reveals seasonal temperature variations in 50-million-year-old lake water. Scientists can determine that summer water temperatures reached 86 degrees Fahrenheit, while winters rarely dropped below 68 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than modern Florida Keys. These limestone libraries contain atmospheric archives that help climate scientists understand how rapidly Earth's climate can shift. The Eocene warming occurred in just 20,000 years, demonstrating that major climate transitions happen faster than mountain building or continental drift. "60 miles northwest of this climate archive, Earth's oldest foundations support its youngest glaciers. The Wind River Range rises along Wyoming's western border like Earth's final unspoiled cathedral. These peaks harbor both the oldest rocks in the Rocky Mountains and some of its most pristine wilderness, a landscape where 3.8 billion-year-old granite supports active glaciers. Gannett Peak, Wyoming's highest summit at 13,804 feet, supports the largest glacier in the American Rockies. Gannett Glacier and its neighbors are survivors from the Little Ice Age, still actively carving cirques and valleys from some of Earth's most ancient stone. The range contains over 40 named glaciers and hundreds of alpine lakes scooped from solid granite by ice action. Ancient Archean granite, the oldest exposed rock in the Rocky Mountain region, provides the foundation for active geological processes still sculpting the landscape today. Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho peoples consider the Wind River Range sacred homeland. The peaks provided summer hunting grounds, vision quest sites, and spiritual refuge for generations who understood these mountains as the backbone of their world. Traditional knowledge includes detailed understanding of seasonal wildlife patterns, weather prediction using mountain cloud formations, and navigation techniques that enabled safe travel through this challenging but spiritually significant landscape. The Wind River Range forms the Continental Divide's highest and most remote section in Wyoming. Water falling on eastern slopes eventually reaches the Missouri River and Gulf of Mexico. Western slope precipitation flows toward the Colorado River and Pacific Ocean. These peaks, built from Earth's oldest foundation stones, literally divide a continent. "40 miles east of these pristine peaks, Earth reveals how ancient lakes became tomorrow's energy. Cathedral Bluffs rise from the Green River Basin, like monuments to Earth's industrial biography. These white and orange sandstone towers contain some of the world's largest oil shale deposits, potential energy equivalent to 800 billion barrels of oil. The Green River Formation preserves 50 million years of ancient lake deposits, rich in organic matter that never fully decomposed. Lake Gossute covered most of Wyoming during the Eocene epoch, accumulating organic sediments that became one of Earth's largest fossil fuel deposits. Each layer represents thousands of years of lake bottom accumulation. Fish fossils, plant remains, and microscopic organisms preserve evidence of subtropical climates when Wyoming supported crocodiles, palm trees, and tropical ecosystems. Indigenous peoples utilize natural oil seeps and mineral deposits throughout the Green River Basin for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows use of petroleum-based materials for waterproofing, medicine, and ceremonial purposes. Traditional knowledge recognized different seep locations for different applications. Some provided waterproofing materials, others offered medicinal compounds, and specific sites yielded pigments for ceremonial body painting. Today, Cathedral Bluffs represents America's energy paradox. The formation contains more potential oil than Saudi Arabia's proven reserves, but extraction requires enormous amounts of water and energy. The technology exists, but environmental costs remain prohibitive. "30 miles east of these energy cathedrals, Earth demonstrates that the most alien landscapes often lie closest to home." This extraordinary journey through Wyoming's hidden wonders represents just a glimpse of what's possible when we look beyond the obvious. If these connections between ancient Earth and modern discovery intrigue you, consider subscribing to continue exploring places where science meets wonder. It's free, and it ensures you won't miss these remarkable discoveries. Now, let's venture into Wyoming's most alien landscape. The Red Desert spreads across 9,320 square miles of central Wyoming like a piece of Mars transplanted to Earth. This is the largest unfenced area in the continental United States. A landscape so alien that NASA conducts Mars mission training here. The terrain's resemblance to Mars isn't coincidental. Iron-rich soils create rust-red colors identical to Martian regolith. Sparse vegetation, extreme temperature variations, and isolation create conditions that closely simulate what astronauts might encounter on the red planet. Astrobiologists study extremophile organisms here that survive in conditions similar to Mars's harsh environment. If life exists on Mars, it might resemble microorganisms that thrive in the red desert's alkaline soils and temperature extremes. Despite its barren appearance, the red desert supports one of America's largest remaining wild horse herds and crucial migration corridors for pronghorn antelope. What appears lifeless actually pulses with specially adapted life forms. The red desert preserves ecosystems that existed throughout the American West before European settlement. This wasteland actually represents the baseline, showing what much of the West looked like before agriculture, roads, and cities transformed the landscape. As our journey through Wyoming's 17 hidden wonders concludes, we're reminded of a profound truth. This landscape that seems so permanent has been constantly transforming for billions of years. From 3.8 billion-year-old Wind River granite to ancient medicine wheel astronomy, from Mars-like red desert to healing thermal springs, Wyoming preserves Earth's complete autobiography, ancient foundations, active processes, and endless possibilities. Every hidden wonder we've discovered connects to all the others. Ancient granite provides foundation for modern ecosystems. Astronomical observations guide traditional knowledge. Geological processes create healing waters. Time moves in cycles that connect stars to stones, past to future, hidden to revealed. Sometimes the most extraordinary journeys lead us not to distant places, but to deeper understanding of where we already are.